All right, guys, so jumping straight into the session, I'm going to need everyone to roll for initiative.
Oh no. My roll totals but a mere 4. It appears the stars themselves conspire against me this day.
Or, it could have just been a bad roll.
Potentially.
Well, mine was pretty awful, too. I rolled a 5.
Wow, what a way to start the day. At least mine's all right. I rolled a 12, Joe.
And that's a 14 for me.
Okay, then. So, top of the round, we have beep, boop, beep. What are you doing, buddy?
Okay, I want to try roll over here, Joe. Then I'll be taking a shot at the Stormtrooper in front of me with one of my tech powers. It's called Stinger.
Well, that sounds incredibly aggressive. What does it do?
Well, it allows me to fire off this stinging dart. If it hits, then that target's going to feel a world of hurt, taking 1d8 poison damage. And let me tell you, if that target's a humanoid or beast, forget about healing up. They can't regain hit points until the start of my next turn. So, yeah, it's pretty damn effective.
That actually seems incredibly overpowered for a level 0 power.
What can I say? BBB's packing.
Well, do you want to roll your attack roll, beep, boop, beep?
Oh, shit. Yeah, sorry, Joe. It's been a while. All right, so that's a 3 on my dice, which is just fucking fantastic, which brings me to an 8 total.
I'm struggling to see how that's fantastic. I think it's going to miss, if I'm being honest.
Of course it's gonna fucking miss, man. I was being sarcastic.
BBB, you swiftly shift into combat mode. In an instant, a compartment slides open, revealing the sleek, menacing form of the Stinger tech power. With a calculated hum of energy, you lock onto your target and fire. The dart, glowing with a virulent green, streaks across the battlefield. However, even the most advanced calculations can falter. The dart zips past the Stormtrooper, missing its intended mark by a mile, embedding itself into the ground with a muted thud and a brief sizzle, leaving a minuscule crater as the only testament to its passing.
God damn it.
All right, Sandy, you're up.
Okay then, I want to try maneuver my way around here and cast Force Disarm on the same Stormtrooper that Beep Boop Beep attacked.
Nice. What's your power save DC?
Wait a second. Oh, okay, it's 13, Joe.
Good to know. All right, Sandy, as you raise your hand, the air between you and the Stormtrooper crackles with unseen energy. Your focus sharpens, channeling the Force to wrench the blaster from your adversary's grip. However, as the power surges through you, aiming to disarm, the Stormtrooper stands his ground, an unexpected resilience emanating from him. Despite the invisible tendrils of Force energy swirling around him, he tightens his hold, muscles tensing against the pull. With a determined effort that belies the typical training of the Empire's soldiers, he resists your attempt, his stance unyielding. The blaster remains firmly in his grasp.
Well, it looks like the Force is not strong with this one. Seems like it's back to basics for me.
Ah, Sandy, do not let despair cloud your spirit. Beep, boop, beep has also missed. And Galen's most likely about to miss too.
Seriously? Well, I'm glad you've got faith in us, Sithious.
What I'm trying to say is, don't let it get you down. I'm sure you'll nail it next time.
All right, so Stormtrooper 1 is going to take a shot at you, Sandy. That's an 8 total.
Yay, that misses me.
Nice. So he's going to move over here, then that's his turn. Now it's Stormtrooper 2's go. He's going to aim his blaster towards you, Galen, before pulling on the trigger. That's a 13 to hit.
Of course that bloody well hits me. My AC is only 9.
Okay, so that's 5 points of energy damage. He rolled pretty low.
My dear Galen, such a low AC suggests you've undergone some rather questionable training.
It's got nothing to do with the training. I'm stuck in this bloody slave garb, aren't I? It's hardly the attire of choice for its defensive properties. My AC is bound to be low.
All I'm hearing is a litany of excuses for poor character optimization. Do better, Galen. Do better.
Well, it's your turn now, Galen. What you doing?
Well, this is the thing. I've just realized that I have basically 0 offensive force casting abilities.
Can't you use something like Force Lightning or Force Choke?
Oh yes, Sandy. Let me just tap into that dark side of the Force I've been studiously avoiding all my life. How silly of me to forget such a convenient trick.
Then why don't you employ your lightsaber?
Ah, my lightsaber. Of course, why didn't I think of that? Oh wait, it's because I don't have my bloody lightsaber with me.
What kind of Jedi doesn't have their lightsaber on them?
Dude, you do remember that you don't have your lightsaber either, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right, okay. I've decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the Force Power Burst of Speed on myself. This will grant me an extra 10 feet of movement. Then, I'm going to use my full movement to get as close to this Stormtrooper as I can.
Is that everything you're doing, buddy?
Yep, that's the end of my turn.
Alrighty then. Sithious, you're up.
What to do? All right, I'm going to cast Battle Precognition. This will increase my base AC to 13 plus my dex, which will give me a total of 15. Then I'm going to shimmy my way over here.
Sithious, you close your eyes, reaching deep within to the wellspring of the force that resides in the space between breaths. As you draw upon its ancient power, the air around you seems to thrum with potential, charged with unseen energies. Slowly, a shimmering aura begins to manifest around you, visible only to those attuned to the force's subtle ebbs and flows. This spectral armor, wrought from the very fabric of the force, wraps itself around you like a second skin.
And that is the end of my turn.
Okay, sweet. So top of the round. Beep, boop, beep. You're up with Sandy on deck.
All right, I'm gonna shimmy over here real quick. Then I'm unleashing my wire line on this fool. Basically, you all see me shoot out a grappling wire straight at the Stormtrooper. And if I hit, they're eating 1d6 kinetic damage. And if they ain't too big, I'm yanking them 10 feet closer to me.
Cool.
That's a 17 to hit.
Yeah, that hits, brother.
And that's 4 points of kinetic damage. And they're pulled 10 feet closer.
Nice.
Okay. I'm going to raise one hand towards this Stormtrooper before saying, Unlimited Power! Then I'm going to be casting Shock.
You're a bit of a dick, aren't you?
So that's a 16 to hit.
Yeah, that gets him.
And 9 points of sweet, sweet lightning damage.
Sandy, you raise a singular hand towards the Stormtrooper, your fingertips facing directly towards him. Then, suddenly, a crackling surge of energy leaps forth in a vivid arc of lightning that dances through the air. The bolt strikes true, engulfing the Stormtrooper in a blinding cascade of electricity. The force of the impact sends him stumbling backward, every muscle seized by the unrelenting current. In a final convulsive shudder, he collapses to the ground. Life now extinguished from his body.
Hey guys, I got one.
Excellent work, Sandy. You truly are a brilliant wielder of the Force.
All right, so now it's the remaining Stormtrooper's turn. It's going to make an attack towards you, Sithious.
Why me? I haven't even done anything yet.
Maybe he just doesn't like the cut of your jib.
Wow. I'll have you know there is nothing wrong with my jib.
Yeah, sure thing, man. Anyway, that's a 17 to hit.
That hits me.
So that's 8 points of energy damage.
Not so fast. I'm going to use Force Reflect on the blast. Oh, I rolled a 10. Maximum negation. Very nice. So, seen as my damage reduction is more than the damage taken, it reflects back towards him, Joe.
Damn, that's sweet. It doesn't just hit, though, if I remember correctly. You will still have to make an attack roll against him using your modifier.
Well, that's just frustrating.
Oh, and it will be with disadvantage because he's further than 30 feet away from you.
And that's annoyingly frustrating. Nevertheless, I rolled a 16 to hit, which I'm fairly sure it does.
Yeah, that absolutely hits, buddy. You all watch intently as the Stormtrooper confidently fires his rifle towards Sithious. But with quick thinking alongside his deep connection to the Force, Sithious reacts almost instinctively. He extends his hand forward not to shield himself, but to command the very energy hurtling towards him. With a graceful motion as if conducting an orchestra, Sithious channels the Force, redirecting the blaster bolt. The energy, now a vibrant streak of defiance, reverses its course. The Stormtrooper, realizing the impending reversal too late, attempts a desperate dodge. Yet he is unable to move in time, and the redirected energy blast hits the Stormtrooper squarely in the chest.
Well, I suppose that's one way to perform a self-critique. Let's consider it a crash course in why shooting at Force users may lead to unexpected career endings.
Oh, good one, Sithious.
I must admit that was an excellent display of the Force.
Well, you're up now, Galen. What you doing?
I'm going to run up to the Stormtrooper. Then I'm going to use Force Focus on myself as a bonus action which will empower my strikes. Then I'm going to use Force Technique as my action. This will just be a basic punch attack. But if he tries to move after he has been hit, he will take an additional 1d8 points of force damage.
Oh, so it's basically like Booming Blade for any of you guys watching at home who have seen the main campaign.
That sounds so much cooler. Booming Blade, or Force Technique. Pretty clear winner there.
Well, I didn't make the name up, did I?
Probably a good thing too. Or it could have been so much worse.
What is it with you and your barrage of insults towards me?
Oh, how the turns have tabled.
All right, stop antagonizing Galen, Sithious. Make an attack roll for me, buddy.
That's an 18 to hit, Joe, which it does. So that's 4 points of kinetic damage and 4 points of force damage from my Force Focus.
Damn, brother, you've got some powerful-ass fists.
Remember, if he tries to move, he takes another 1d8 force damage.
Well, he's not about to try and move because he's dead. How do you want to do this, Galen?
I want to run up to the Stormtrooper, ducking underneath him with my fist clenched. I let out a smile and say, "Hello there," before I proceed to uppercut the little shit as hard as I can.
Galen, you charge towards the remaining Stormtrooper, determination fueling your stride as sand kicks up behind you, marking your path like a storm's wake. Your focus narrows to the figure before you, a target oblivious to the fate rushing towards him. As you close the distance, a smirk plays across your lips as you utter the phrase, "Hello there," a greeting that doubles as a harbinger of the end. In one fluid motion, you duck under the aim of his blaster, your fist clenched and ready. Then with your fist swirling with the power of the Force, your uppercut explodes upwards. The connection is precise. A perfect storm of kinetic energy meeting unsuspecting chin. The power behind your punch sends the Stormtrooper's helmet soaring skyward. The helmet arcs through the air before gravity claims it, bringing it crashing down far from its owner. The Stormtrooper, helmetless and utterly defeated, stumbles backwards before collapsing to the floor.
Excellent work, Galen. That was seriously impressive stuff.
Yeah. The way you just, bopped him right on his chin and he just whoosh down to the floor.
Whoosh.
It was wicked, like something out of the movies.
Like from the Hollow films.
But even cooler because, it actually happened.
Well, no need to get all wide-eyed in wonder, Sandy. We've all done a cracking job here, haven't we? Speaking of jobs, though, when the rest of those Stormtroopers realize these two aren't coming back, they'll catch on that we've managed to dupe them. So, perhaps it would be wise for us to start making a move, lest we find ourselves in less favorable circumstances.
That's an excellent point. Although I don't have any idea where the nearest settlement is to here that isn't controlled by the Empire.
Yeah, that's true. Looks like we're gonna have to get our searchy search on. I mean, how hard can it be to find a friendly spot in this vast, Empire-controlled planet, right? We just need to avoid all the Stormtroopers, Imperial droids, the spacecraft, the radar systems, and the occasional Sith Lord. It'll be a piece of cake.
Or, as an alternative to our searchy search, we might simply commence wandering aimlessly into the sunset. In my experience, when in doubt, follow the horizon's call. It's an approach that's never failed me before.
That sounds so much better than my idea.
Well, except for that one time, it led directly into the clutches of the Empire.
Well, that's not good.
But let's chalk that up to a rare cosmic oversight. A fluke in the otherwise flawless plan of letting the universe guide our steps.
Y'all are smoking crack if you think just wandering cluelessly is the best course of action.
I don't smoke crack. Beep, boop, beep. The Force is all I need.
Wait, you can smoke the Force? Why'd nobody tell me about this before?
What? No, Sandy. Smoking the Force isn't quite the direct translation or interpretation of my words. The Force is an energy that surrounds us, binds us. It's not something one partakes in like a spice from the outer rim.
Okay.
Think of it more as attuning oneself to the universe's rhythm rather than indulging in it. There's a certain depth and connection achieved through meditation and understanding, not inhalation. It's a metaphorical nourishment for the soul, not a literal one.
I simply cannot fathom why we had to endure that entire explanation. And for what? For Sandy to forget the entire discourse in about 5 minutes and proceed to inquire the next individual we encounter if they possess any force for him to smoke? It all seems remarkably futile, if you ask me.
Well, anyway, can we move this along? Joe, I want to move up to one of those dead Stormtroopers, snag his blaster, and stash it in one of my compartments. Let's not dilly-dally here making circles in the sand with our feet. Time's ticking, and we've got places to be that aren't here, surrounded by more potential blaster fire.
That's a great idea. Joe, I'm going to move up to the other Stormtrooper, take his blaster as well as his armor, and put it on.
All right, Galen. You stride towards the fallen Stormtrooper, your eyes set on the gear that soon will be yours. Picking up the blaster first, you feel its weight in your hand, a solid and reassuring presence that promises a slight edge in the challenges to come. Turning your attention to the armor, you begin the meticulous process of donning it. The fit is tight, each piece designed for the standard issue Stormtrooper physique, which doesn't exactly match your own. With a bit of maneuvering, some pulling here, and a lot of squeezing there, you manage to secure the armor around your frame. It's a snug fit, to say the least, but it holds. The helmet sits atop your head, slightly askew due to the tight squeeze, but it serves its purpose.
Ha! Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Are you high, Sandy? Joe literally just described the gymnastic feat I performed to squeeze into this armor. So pray tell, from which part of that ordeal did you deduce that I'm remotely short? If anything, I'm contending with the opposite problem here.
Actually, the real curiosity here isn't Galen's height discrepancy for a stormtrooper's armor. It's rather he's too fat for it.
I'm sorry, what the fuck did you just say?
Galen, in what hidden corners of these labor camps have you been finding enough sustenance to maintain such a robust figure? Could there be a secret stash of pudding involved? If so, withholding such a delight from me would be considered as treason.
Do you even know what treason means, Sithious? It's a serious betrayal of one's country or sovereign. Now, unless my physique somehow undermines the Republic, I hardly think it applies here. And for the record, I'm not fat. I'm muscular.
Muscular, huh? Well, I guess you are. That is, in the same way that a hut would be streamlined.
Sandy, your grasp of physiology is as accurate as your strikes with a saber, which is to say, disastrously off target. Perhaps focusing on the situation at hand rather than my figure could be more beneficial to our—
All right, motherfuckers, shut the hell up and let's get a move on. We've got bigger problems than Galen's dietary habits.
All right then, enough of this jibber-jabber. What's it going to be? Hunting down civilization or chasing sunsets?
Why can't we do both? Sounds like a plan to me. We can totally look for people while we're chasing the sunset. It's like multitasking, right? Follow the sun, find some friends, best of both worlds.
At this point, I just want to get a bloody move on. So, both it is then. Joe, we'll start walking towards the sun while keeping a keen eye out for any signs of life, be it a friendly face or even a hint of civilization. Oh, and we will be actively avoiding any signs of the Empire.
Okay then, Galen, give me a survival check. Then I'm going to need someone else to give me a perception check.
So that's a 10 plus 2 for my survival.
That equals 12, Galen.
I know that it equals 12, Sithious.
Then why announce your role as if you were piecing together a galactic puzzle? Seemed to me like you were struggling to work it out.
I wasn't struggling. It was merely for the sake of transparency, ensuring those following our journey are fully aware of the modifier at play.
Narrating for the audience's benefit. A noble endeavor indeed. Gotcha.
Well, I rolled a 17 for my perception check, Joey.
With Sandy's sharp eyes leading the way and Galen's survival skills keeping you on course, you traverse the harsh landscape of Lothal's desert. The chasm, a gaping maw in the Earth's crust, guides your path until it gradually slopes down, allowing you to proceed directly under the waning light of the setting sun. As you journey, the desert reveals its hidden inhabitants. From a distance, you catch sight of a herd of banthas, majestic and stoic, their fur matted with the desert's dust. The desert, though seemingly barren, teems with life, each creature adapted to the unforgiving environment. Your progress isn't without caution. The unmistakable roar of a TIE fighter occasionally shatters the tranquility, forcing you to take cover among the dunes. Lying flat against the sand, you feel the vibrations of its engines before it zooms overhead. After approximately 3 hours of travel, marked by the occasional pause to admire a particularly resilient desert flower, or to trace the flight of a flock of dewbacks on the horizon, you notice a subtle change underfoot. The coarse, unforgiving sand gradually gives way to a softer, greener terrain. What begins as a mere hint of color soon blossoms into a verdant tapestry under your feet. It's here, amidst the burgeoning life of the desert's edge, that you stumble upon a trickle of water cutting a winding path through the revitalized vegetation. The sight of water, clear and inviting, flowing freely through the dried foliage, is a balm to your senses.
Water. If there's one enduring lesson from all those survival boot camps, it's this. Water signifies life.
I'm pretty sure life means life, man. I mean, look around. We've got grass and foliage right there.
Well, either way, following the stream seems like a solid plan, right? I mean, if water means life, then this little river could lead us straight to civilization, or at least to more water. And let's be honest, after trekking through a desert that seemed more inclined to bake us than anything else, I'm all for anything that suggests a bit more greenery and a lot less sandy doom.
Following the stream? Yes, that might indeed be wise. Wouldn't want you getting any more baked than you already are.
All right then, Joe, we will follow the streamy. See where it leads us.
All right then, guys, you decide to trace the path carved by this slender thread of water. The journey begins with the modest trickle, a mere whisper of moisture weaving through the desert's embrace. As you journey alongside it, the trickle gradually asserts itself, joining forces with other small streams meandering through the revitalized landscape. The convergence of these waterways breathes life into the desert, transforming the trickle into a more substantial stream. The sound of flowing water becomes a constant companion. Following this newfound stream, the landscape around you blooms with increasing vigor, the greenery growing denser, a testament to the life-sustaining power of water. After some time, the stream swells into a decent-sized flow, its waters clear and inviting. And then a singular house emerges on the horizon.
Hey, look at that! A house! Do you think someone lives there?
Well, either way, we're heading over there. Joe, we all head over to the house. With caution. There could be people who are loyal to the Empire there.
Okay. You all proceed towards the house, each step measured, minds alert for any sign of danger or allegiance to the Empire. The anticipation builds as the distance closes, the outline of the structure growing clearer with every moment. However, as you draw near, what initially appeared to be a solitary house reveals itself to be much more. Before your eyes unfolds a whole village nestled discreetly within this oasis of life amidst the desert. You observe farmers deeply engrossed in their daily toils, plowing the parched earth, tending to crops that defy the harsh climate, and harvesting what little bounty the land offers. Yet the moment they catch sight of you, the atmosphere shifts dramatically. Tools clatter to the ground as a wave of sheer panic sweeps through the villagers. With hardly a second's hesitation, they abandon their work, scattering in a frenzy to find refuge within their homes.
Huh? Why are they all running away from us? We're not that scary.
If I had to guess, I'd say it is because of Galen.
Huh? Why me? What have I done wrong?
Huh. Why you indeed, Galen. It certainly is an intriguing observation from Beep Boop Beep. Could it possibly be, I wonder, due to your, let's say, robust physique? Perhaps the villagers are under the impression that you're here to consume their scarce produce, considering the remarkable size difference between you and the average denizen.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of that he's dressed as a stormtrooper.
Oh, that's a valid point indeed. My apologies for harping on your, weight again, Galen. It seems we've been a bit preoccupied with it, haven't we? We really ought to put an end to this before we endow you with a complex.
What's all this we business, Sithious? It seems to me you're the sole proprietor of this running commentary on my physique.
My apologies, Galen. It seems I've allowed a jest to tread too far into unwelcome territory. Truly, I meant no offense.
Well, I don't know about you lot, but I'm not just going to stand around here. I'm going up there and start knocking on doors. Try to convince them that we're not evil.
But you are evil.
Preposterous. Just because I'm a Sith doesn't automatically make me evil, you know. There's a bit more nuance to it than that. Anyway, Joe, I'm not going to just stand here debating my moral alignment. I'm heading up there to make my rounds on the doors. Someone's got to show them we're not here to start trouble.
As you, Sandy, approach the village with determined strides, you find yourself facing a row of doors, each with its own story to tell. The first door is covered with carvings of the desert's flora and fauna, weathered by time yet standing as a testament to the resilience of life here. Another door bears the marks of blaster fire, a silent witness to past conflicts. One more is painted in vibrant hues, peeling and faded, suggesting attempts at injecting joy into a harsh existence. You knock, one door after another, met with silence or the occasional rustle of movement from within, but no answers. It's not until the 8th door, simpler than the rest and hanging slightly ajar on weary hinges, that your persistence is rewarded. The door creaks open to reveal a man in his 80s, his posture stooped but not bowed by the weight of years. His face is etched with the kind of lines that speak of a life filled with both laughter and loss, now overshadowed by a prevailing sense of weariness. His eyes, though clouded by age, burn with an indomitable spirit, and he regards you with an air of indifference that could only come from someone who has seen too much to be easily frightened or intimidated.
Look, we've had enough of you lot threatening us for our young men and women. If you're here to bitch at me, then don't bother. I'd rather die than bow down to any more of your demands.
Oh, no. We're definitely not part of the Empire. As for my friend over there in the Stormtrooper armor, we, kind of borrowed it. Long story short, we were captured, forced to do all sorts of labor, and let me tell you, it was hot. Like really unbearably hot. You wouldn't believe how much I missed just sitting in the shade. And the work, it was backbreaking. Really makes you miss the simple things, like a nice glass of blue milk. Anyway, I'm getting a little off topic. So, there we were on this transport when suddenly Smiles, he just, boom, gone, blown to bits. And there was this one Stormtrooper, really fond of his pudding, but then he got shot. But then we made a run for it and got to an outcropping. But boom! Darth Vader shows up, making a big scene because apparently they got the wrong guy. Said something about not the right clone or whatever. But we managed to escape, beat the Stormtroopers and everything. Galen grabbed one of their outfits as a disguise, and our droid, he got himself a blaster. I don't know how he plans to use it though, 'cause he doesn't have, hands. So yeah, definitely not Empire fans here. Just a bunch of folks trying to make our way in the world.
Well, that was quite the epic. Sandy, I had no idea we were privy to your entire life story just to explain we're not with the Empire.
But it was beautifully articulated, don't you think? If that doesn't convince our skeptical friend here of our intentions, I dare say nothing will.
Give me a persuasion check, Sandy.
That's a 15, Joe.
As you finish your sprawling tale, the man listens intently, an eyebrow arching ever so slightly at the sheer length and detail of your account. Despite the long-windedness, something in your earnestness and the genuine absurdity of your story seems to strike a chord with him.
Well, I'll be. Never thought I'd find myself even half believing such a tale, but there's a sincerity in your dopiness that's hard to fake.
Huh? What do you mean, my dopiness?
And heaven knows, we've seen enough deception from the ones truly loyal to the Empire.
He steps aside, gesturing for you to enter.
You lot must be parched. All of you, please, come inside. If you're running from the Empire, then you're friends of mine, at least for now. We haven't got much, but we've got some water, tea, and maybe a bit of food.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. That's incredibly kind of you. Guys, did you hear that? We're invited in. Come on, let's not keep our gracious host waiting.
Excellent work, Sandy. Your earnestness has once again proven to be an invaluable asset to our little band of wanderers. All right, Joe. We head on inside.
As you step inside the house, you're immediately greeted by the humble yet comforting embrace of a dwelling that has weathered much. The interior, though clearly run down, holds a certain functional charm. On the walls, faded tapestries are hung alongside the occasional patchwork repair. Sparse furniture occupies the space, each piece bearing the marks of extensive use, but also the care of hands determined to maintain a semblance of normalcy. The man moves, lighting a fire in the small, well-used hearth at the center of the main room, to which the flames catch quickly, casting a warm, flickering light that dances around you all. With the fire crackling, he places a kettle over it. The metal is worn, but clean. Into the kettle, he adds a handful of dried herbs, which soon begin to release their earthy aroma into the air, mingling with the scent of smoke to create an unexpectedly comforting fragrance. Turning to a shelf that leans slightly against the wall, he retrieves 5 cups, each one mismatched from the next, clearly a collection built over time rather than chosen at once. As he sets them down, his gaze falls upon beep, boop, beep. After a moment's consideration, he returns 1 cup to its place. Before long, the kettle lets out a scream, signaling that the brew is ready. With careful hands, the man lifts it from the fire, extinguishing the scream as he pours the steaming liquid into the cups. The herbal tea, simple yet made with care, is offered to each of you.
Joe, I lift up the cup and take a drink before saying to the man, "This tea is quite exceptional. Your expertise with the local herbs is evident in every sip. Might I inquire, how many seasons have you called this place home? And in the interest of courtesy, how should we address you?"
Thank you for your kind words. It's not often we get to share what little we have with others, especially those with an appreciation for the simple things. As for my name, you can call me Tarn. Tarn Grell. I've been tilling the soil of Lothal longer than I care to remember. Pardon for my bluntness, but one of the main reasons I invited you inside was for selfish purposes. You mentioned your encounter with the Sith Lord Vader, correct? And he was asking about a clone.
I want to make an insight check, Joe.
Okay, sweet. Roll it for me, buddy.
That's an 18.
Nice one, dude. Okay, Galen, as you lock eyes with Tarn Grell, you delve into the depths of his gaze, seeking the truth behind his seemingly casual inquiry. Your insight check of 18 peels back the layers of this hardened Lothalian farmer, revealing a man who's difficult to decipher. However, despite his well-practiced stoicism, you sense a current of serious concern flowing beneath his question. This concern, however, isn't rooted in any fear for his own safety. Rather, it's directed outward, towards someone else.
I hope you don't mind my prying into the matter, but I've sensed a considerable depth of concern in your inquiry, a worry that seems not for yourself, but perhaps for another. Might this apprehension be tied to the question you've posed about Vader and the clone?
The man's demeanor shifts subtly as he digests your words. For a fleeting moment, his eyes dart downward, evading the group's collective gaze. It's a brief lapse, but one that speaks volumes, hinting at the turmoil and memories swirling beneath the surface. With a heavy sigh, he begins to speak, his voice tinged with a mixture of reverence and sorrow.
I didn't know him long. He was a fine young man and a hard worker. Came to us not 6 months back. Took care of everyone. Protected us.
The man's voice grows softer, more reflective, as if each word dredges up a sea of buried emotions.
He had no memory of who he was or where he came from. The only thing he knew for certain was his presence here, among us. My wife, she was incredibly sick. She was on the brink of death's embrace.
The man's voice cracks ever so slightly, from the pain of the memories.
She was dying. And then somehow he stopped that from happening. He didn't know how he did it, but he managed to extend her life. She was healthy again, as vibrant as she was 40 years ago. But then they came and they took him away. Not 2 days later, my wife passed, her life ebbing away, as if the years caught up with her, all at once. Aging years, every hour.
I'm so sorry for what's happened to you, for what you've lost. The way you describe him, restoring life like that, it's something I've never even heard of before. To think someone could just bring back health, push back death in such a way.
Yes. The ability to extend life beyond its natural span is a feat of immeasurable power, one that very few in the history of the galaxy have even come close to mastering. It speaks to a connection with the Force that's beyond the ordinary, touching on the very essence of life itself. Such a gift, or curse, depending on one's view, is rare and immensely significant.
If I may inquire, what was the name of this remarkable young man? Knowing his name might help us understand more about him, and perhaps how we can assist further.
He had total memory loss, to the degree that I've never seen before. Despite that, there were 2 things he seemed sure of. 2 shards of identity amid the fog of his amnesia. He said his name was Naver. That was the first. The second was that he was a clone, of whom I do not know, and I did not ask. Such matters were irrelevant to me. The person he was, with us, that's what mattered.
He sighs, a deep, weary sound that seems to carry the burden of unsaid fears and unasked questions.
The stormtroopers came and took him away, seeing nothing but a fit young man to be dragged off to the camps. As far as I'm aware, they had not discovered his true nature as a clone. They didn't check. They didn't seem to care. But after Vader's visit and the prisoner he sought, I can't help but wonder if they figured it out later, and if Naver was the man Vader killed.
Hey, Tarn, could you give us a description of this Naver? I'm just thinking that maybe we could confirm whether he was the one Vader murdered, if you want to, that is.
Of course, I'd really appreciate that. Let me see if I can paint a picture of him for you. Naver was a man of striking presence, tall and lean, with an air about him that spoke of both grace and strength. His hair was dark, kept longer than you might expect, falling just past his shoulders, often tied back to keep it out of his face. His eyes, though, they were remarkable, deep and thoughtful, carrying a weight as if he'd seen much more than his years could account for. A sort of intensity that could be both comforting and unsettling. And his face, it bore a quiet resolve, marked by a few scars that hinted at a life of conflict. But there was kindness there, a genuine warmth that belied his appearance. He carried himself with a quiet confidence, not arrogance, but the assurance of one who knows his own strength and the wisdom to use it wisely. That's the man they took. That's Naver.
Joe, would it be possible for me to cast my memory back, to sift through our recent encounter and ascertain if the man Tarn has so vividly described was indeed the individual we saw meeting such a tragic end?
Yeah, of course you can, buddy. There's no need for a roll on this one. The man you saw killed by Vader, the one in question, he had short, tousled blonde hair and bore no scars. It seems he doesn't match the description Tarn has given of Naver.
So, good news, Tarn. The individual we witnessed meeting their end at the hands of Vader bore no resemblance to the man you've described to us. This disparity in their appearances suggests a high chance that Naver may still be safe, or at the very least, that he was not the one we saw that day.
Wait a second. I've just had a thought. Considering everything we've heard, what are the chances that Naver is the clone Vader's been hunting? Pretty high, I reckon, especially given his incredible, albeit unknowing, use of the Force.
Well, given the circumstances, I would agree that the probability of that being the case is incredibly high.
Tarn, visibly shaken by the implications of Sandy's insight, looks at you all with a newfound urgency, his voice tinged with a nervous edge.
Do you think there's any chance you could try to find him? He's too good for this world, too pure. To think of him trapped in a slave camp, wasting away. Or worse, if Vader is indeed searching for him, too good to be captured and slaughtered by his hands.
Of course we will, Tarn. After everything the Empire has done to us, done here, there's nothing I'd love more than to strike back at them.
Hold on a moment, Sandy. We've yet to discuss this as a group. It's not a decision to be made lightly.
Yeah, kid. We've just got our skins out of the fire, and you're itching to dive back in. That's walking right back into the Sarlacc's mouth.
There's wisdom in Sandy's haste. This isn't merely about rebellion against the Empire. It's about safeguarding a life that holds potential beyond our understanding. If Naver is indeed being hunted by Vader, then it is not without a greater reason. And this goes beyond a simple rescue.
So it's settled then. We'll head back and try to find Naver for you, Tarn. You can count on us.
I can't thank you all enough for even considering this. If I had anything of value to offer, I'd hand it over without a second thought. Please, though, be careful. Not just for the dangers you're about to walk into, but also concerning Naver himself. As pure-hearted as he is, he's haunted by terrible dreams. Nightmares where he'd thrash and lash out, lost in some unseen battle. If you do manage to find him and rescue him, just keep a careful eye on him whilst he's not conscious. It's hard to say what might trigger those responses, especially in a state of vulnerability.
Did Naver ever speak during these dreams? Words murmured in the grip of his nightmares might offer us a clue, a thread of his past we could follow. There could be indications, however fragmented, of where he came from, or what profound experiences he might have been reliving.
Only once. There was only one time where he spoke, and in that moment he seemed different. He said, "A warrior who doesn't hope for battle has no hope during battle."
Interesting. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me.
And that's where we're going to wrap up this session.
Hey, it's Master Sandy here. If you're enjoying the show so far, it would be amazing if you fancied supporting us on Patreon. I don't have a credit to my name. Oh, and there's also this other campaign that Joe runs that's just as wild. I mean, I'm not in that one, but it's still cool.